said, fine. He's the former executive editor of the Sun newspaper. All he had to do was pick up the phone to the guy who writes the business supplement, who used to work for him, and say, Andy Lopata can add tremendous value to the paper. You really should do something on networking. Talk to him. And I was there. And I wrote for the Sun several times after that. I asked Chris for a specific introduction because I understood who his network was and how he would best be placed to help me. I made it really easy for him to make the connection. So when you look at the people who can refer you, before you answer the question, before you consider who your ideal referral is, work out who their network is, who they know, and then you'll know the right question to ask. So that is what a referral is, and hopefully getting you thinking a little bit about your ideal referral. But now let's have a look at the people who can refer you. So who's in your network? Who should be referring you? And, you know, with most people, as I indicated earlier, most people will just look for their clients. Or they'll look for their clients and their intermediaries. So an intermediary will be someone who's in a complementary business who traditionally introduces into that business. And that's fine. You know, I said I do a lot of work with professional services firms. Well, I have something that I call the holy quadruplicate. And the holy quadruplicate are lawyers, accountants, financial advisors, and bankers. And if you ask any of those four, who are the best placed people to refer you, they'll mention the other three, 9 times out of 10. And that's fine, because there's value in those relationships. But I don't know if we've got any lawyers or accountants in the room now, but if you are, just think about it. If you're talking to all of those, the other holy quadruplicate members in your area, aren't all your competitors? I'm not saying don't ask them, but you also have to do something slightly different. Caspar Berry earlier talked about, you know, showed this visualization of thinking outside the box. And he showed everyone who thinks inside the box is down here in this little triangle, only achieving slightly greater returns than breaking even. But those who think outside the box, the mountain people, as he called them, they achieve so much more. Well, if you think about all your competitors talking to the same people about potentially referring them, they're down in those valleys. But if you can start thinking slightly more imaginatively and start to look elsewhere for referrals as well, you've got a chance to climb that mountain. So then who else could refer you? If it's not the obvious people, if it's not just your clients and it's not just the obvious introducers, who else could be referring you? Well, there's 3 key ingredients for a champion, someone who's going to refer you, a successful referrer. The first thing is that they need to trust you. Yes, you get people who will refer you straight away on meeting you, but they'll give what I call qualified referrals. So, well, I've only just met so-and-so, and they seem to be able to help you. You might want to chat. But what you really want are unqualified referrals. This person is going to make all the difference to your business. This is who you need to meet. And those unqualified referrals come through trust, come through relationship building. I used to run a national business network, and we were all about referrals exchange. And when I talked to people about joining, one of the common challenges was people would say, how can I refer people I've only just met? And it was a fair question. And I said, you're not expected to join a group and start referring everyone straight away. But are there people you refer now? And was there a time you didn't know them? You build relationships over time. You get to know people. You get to experience their business. You get to build trust. And when people trust you and they trust your business, they're going to be willing to refer you. So start thinking now about who trusts you. Start thinking now about who you trust and why do you trust them. If you can get down to the core of why you trust the people in your network, the people you refer, you'll start to understand the steps you need to take to build trust in others. But if you want to identify your champions, look for the people who trust you first of all. Once you've built that trust, you've then got to look at the next ingredient. And the next ingredient is how well do they understand your business? Put very simply, how easily can they recognize the opportunities to refer you? You see, when referrals are passed, most of the time, you're not in the room. You're not part of the conversation. As I said, there are conversations going on now that could lead to referrals for you. But that will only happen if the people, your champions who could refer you, recognize the opportunity. They need to know enough about your business. They need to know enough about your clients. They need to know enough about the problems your clients have and how you solve them in order to be able to have that conversation. They need to understand your business. So once you've got those people who trust you, you then have to build up that understanding. And if you've got people who trust and understand you, they should be your champions. You know, if they're willing to refer you, they want to refer you, and they know how to refer you, then what should stop them? And it's only one thing, and that's the third ingredient. You know, your mum might trust you. Your mum might understand exactly what you do in your business, but she might not be having the right conversations to open the doors for you. So the third ingredient is that opportunity to refer. Now, for years, I simply talked about trust and understanding. Never thought about opportunity until I was working with clients from a large investment bank. And what we were doing is I was coaching them every month, and we were looking through a list of their prospective champions and going through how are you building the trust, how are you building their understanding month on month. And after 3 or 4 months, we recognized that they were building trust with one of their potential champions, and our understanding was there, but there was no sign that referrals were going to come in. And a lot of time and effort was being spent on this. And then we suddenly realized she wasn't having the right conversations. She didn't have the opportunities to refer them. Certainly no more than once or twice a year, and for the return that she could give, it just didn't justify the effort that was going in to making her one of their champions, getting her to be one of the key people they relied on to bring new business. So if you understand who has the opportunity to refer you, you can then focus on building their trust and building their understanding. But don't spend all of that time and effort on people who can't refer you. I'm not saying don't build relationships with them. I'm not saying don't establish and develop that relationship. But when you have a referral strategy, you're going to focus on a handful of people as your key business generators, the people who are going to support you in your business and in accruing new clients. And if they don't have the opportunity to refer, you know, Casper talked about time as a scarce resource, then that investment is not going to pay back and you won't get the return. So when you understand those ingredients, you can start spreading the net further. And when you're looking at who can refer you, you can start thinking beyond just your clients and just your introducers. Who trusts you the most? I would hope in most cases you'd be answering that your friends and your family. Now, I said that I might approach something that some of you would find challenging, and a lot of my clients do find the thought of approaching friends and family for referrals as disconcerting and very uncomfortable. And I understand that, because we don't want to cross that line. We don't want to run the risk of letting our friends and family down. Well, you shouldn't be letting anyone down who refers you, first of all. You shouldn't be letting anyone down who becomes a client of yours. But if it means you double your efforts, then that's good, isn't it? We worry about boring our friends and family about our business, and they're not interested in that. Well, I'm not suggesting you hammer at them all of the time about your business, but members of your family, some of your friends will have the ideal contacts for you, and don't they want you to succeed? If you can make it easy for them to make the introduction, if you can make that introduction make absolutely perfect sense, they'll be happy to do it. I was running a workshop for a group of business managers from a major bank. And I was going through an exercise to look at people in their network and what those people did and who they knew as a result of what they did. And we looked at friends and family as part of that exercise. And we got to the break, and the deputy regional director for the bank went out of the room and got on his phone straight away, as everyone does these days. As soon as you get a break, get out the phone. And he got on his phone, he came back into the room after the break, and he said, "I've just phoned my brother-in-law. I have never asked my brother-in-law for referrals, and yet he knows half of the businesses in this region, and I've never talked to him about business. I've just picked up the phone and I said, look, I've been on this course, we've been told to